So in this video, I want to dig into the topic of property taxes and give you some tangible numbers so that you can decide for yourself whether or not the property taxes here in Boise are high or low. But first, because there's so many factors involved in determining your property tax, we need to understand how property taxes work. In the United States, there are two property tax systems that are used. The first is the rate-based system. And according to this system, your property taxes are directly tied to the assessed value of your home. When the property value goes up, your property taxes go up, and when the value of your property goes down, your taxes go down as well. Now, this system has several disadvantages to it. Number one, it makes it difficult for property tax funded services to maintain a consistent budget. In a hot market, their budget's going to go up, and in a soft or a cool market, their budget will go down because they actually have less money coming in from the property taxes. And it makes it also difficult on the homeowners because their tax bill swings drastically with the rise and fall of the housing market. Now, that's not the system that's used in Idaho. Here we used what's called the levy rate system. It's actually quite a complicated system to understand, so let me describe it by giving you just a very simple example. Let's say that in a particular area there are 4 institutions that are providing public services that are funded by the property taxes. So that would be the police, the fire department, schools, and road. And each one of these institutions or tax districts has a budget of $10,000, which makes for a total budget of $40,000. And so what the assessor does is he takes that total budget and he divides it by all of the taxable property values to arrive at what's called a levy rate. And then that levy rate is multiplied by the individual assessed value of each property, and that is what gives you your property tax bill. So let's say that in this example, there are 6 homes in this area, each of which are worth $250,000, making for $1.5 million total taxable property value. So if you divide 40,000 by 1.5 million, you arrive at a levy rate of 0.026667. And if you as a homeowner owns one of those $250,000 homes, your total property tax for that year would be $6,667. Now, the two advantages to this system is that it makes it much easier for the institutions that are funded by the property taxes to maintain a more consistent budget year after year. And it also makes for less drastic swings in property tax bills for the homeowners. In a really hot market where the prices are rising really rapidly, your property tax bill doesn't go shooting through the roof along with it. And in a cool market where the prices are sinking rapidly, your property tax bill doesn't drop drastically either. Now, the obvious disadvantage to this is, what if the police department wants to increase their budget drastically and buy 50 new fire engines? Does that increase your property tax bill? Well, in Idaho, we have laws that forbids each of these institutions from increasing their budgets by more than 3% each year. Now, Idaho also gives homeowners a tax break on properties that they are using as their primary residence. And the way that works is like this. You only pay property taxes on half of the assessed value of your home if your home is assessed at $250,000 or less. So for example, if your home is worth $200,000, you only pay property taxes on $100,000. But if your house is assessed at more than $250,000, you get a $125,000 tax break. That's called the homeowner's exemption. So if your home is assessed at $425,000, you only pay property taxes on $300,000 of your home. Now, before I give you some actual numbers of how much people are actually paying for their property taxes, it's important to remember that there are a number of variables involved in calculating your property tax bill. First of all, real estate is more expensive in different parts of the city. And the levy rate also differs in different parts of the city. So in order to compare apples to apples, I decided to look at 9 homes that were all the same size and style, but were in 9 different parts of the Treasure Valley. And the template that I used was a home that's between 1,300 to 1,350 square feet, has 3 beds, 2 baths, and a lot size of 0.15 to 0.16 acres. And using that as a template, I came up with some interesting information on property taxes here in the Treasure Valley. Now, the first home that I found fitting those parameters is a home in North Boise that was assessed at $322,700. The levy rate in that part of town is 0.0109235, and multiplying the levy rate by the assessed value but taking away the homeowner's exemption makes for a property tax of $2,260 per year. A home of comparable size and style in southeast Boise is going to be worth a little bit more. Here's a home that I found that was assessed at $378,000, and the levy rate in that part of the city is the same as in North Boise. So multiplying the levy rate by the assessed value gives this homeowner a property tax bill of $2,768 for the year. The Boise Bench has the same levy rate as Southeast and North Boise. When you come to Southwest Boise, though, things get quite interesting. The levy rate in Southwest Boise is about half of what it is in Southeast Boise. And the assessed values of the homes are also lower there. So I found a home in Southwest Boise that has a property tax of about $1,150 for the year, which is less than half of what a property owner of a similar house in Southeast Boise would pay in property taxes. West Boise has a slightly higher levy rate than in Southeast Boise, but the homes there are about the same as they are in Southwest Boise. So if you own this size of a home in West Boise, your property tax would be about $2,280 for the year. Meridian overall has lower property taxes. The levy rate is lower and the assessed value of the homes is lower. So one homeowner of a property that matched these parameters had a property tax bill of about $1,350 for the year. Eagle surprised me. I thought the taxes there would be higher, but the levy rate is actually lower there, even though the assessed value is higher. So if you own a 1,300 square foot home in Eagle, you're gonna pay less in property taxes than you would if you owned a 1,300 square foot home in Southeast Boise. Now those 7 examples are all in Ada County. Canyon County actually has higher levy rates overall, but the houses there are assessed at a lower value. So in Nampa, for example, the levy rate is about 1.4% overall. So if you owned a 1,300 square foot home in Nampa, like this one here, it would probably be assessed at about $290,000, and multiplying that by the levy rate would give you a property tax bill of about $2,300 for the year. Caldwell has an even higher levy rate, but the homes there are worth even less. So a similar home in Caldwell would have a tax bill of about $1,870 for the year. Let me give you just one other example so you can compare your property taxes with what they are here. If, for example, you wanted to buy a $550,000 home, how much would you pay in the different parts of the city? Well, in Southwest Boise, you should expect to pay about $2,500 for the year. In Eagle, your tax bill will probably be about $3,000. Meridian, it'll be around $3,500. In Southeast Boise, the Boise Bench, or in North Boise, your tax bill will be around $4,500 to $5,000 for the year. And in West Boise, you should expect to pay about $5,200. Now, mind you that $550,000 in these different parts of the city will buy you a different sized home depending on where you are. Out in Canyon County, as we said, the levy rate is higher. So in Nampa, your tax bill would be about $6,600 for the year. And in Caldwell, it'll be closer to $7,000. Well, where does all of this money go? Here's a little graph that I found that illustrates how the money is divided up. And let me just highlight some of the basics. About 25% of our property taxes here go to the various cities. So that's Star, Meridian, Eagle, Boise, Kuna, etc. 20% goes to the county. And that money goes to parks, maintaining the courts, and it helps to fund the health and welfare of the county. 30% of that money goes to the schools, and then the other 25% goes towards maintaining roads, urban development, and other services. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting is that only about 0.1% of all of the money that Ada County takes from property taxes goes towards maintaining the public parks. And I actually think Ada County does a really good job at that. All of our parks are really well maintained, they're really clean, and they have really good facilities there. And from what I could find, it seems like their annual budget is about $630,000 for all of the parks in Ada County. And in my opinion, they do a pretty good job with the money that they collect. Now, Ada County's property taxes compared to all of the other property taxes in the rest of the United States are basically right in the middle of the graph. In 2019, which is the last year that we have the data available for, the median property tax in Ada County was about $1,900. So that means half of the people paid more than that and half paid less than that. And in 2019, Idaho was ranked number 35 out of the 50 states, meaning that only 15 other states overall had cheaper property taxes than Idaho. So what do you think? Are we paying too much for property taxes here, or are we getting a good deal? Thank you so much for watching. If you're curious about other costs here in Boise compared to those costs in other states, I made a video on that a little while ago, so feel free to check that out. Just click on this video right here.